Welcome to this tutorial on the Industrial Management Screen. This will be a fairly lengthy tutorial, so I hope that I can cover it fully. So to access the Industrial Management Screen, you go up to this green factory icon on the top. Click on it, and it brings up our full screen. Okay, let's have a quick look at what this does. So up the top here we have a number of filters. So if I click off all industry, I can click on one at a time, or I can click on a combination of them. Okay, we'll go back to all industry again. The no requirement filter is a very good way of looking at whether your industry is in trouble or not. What I mean by that is it can tell you what factories are not actually ready to produce next term. There's a caveat to that, and that is that the movement of resources, fuel, supply can happen before the actual economy section of the algorithm of the program runs. So if we look at Tsingtao here and Wuchang, both have light industry, and if we look at the requirements here and what's at base, we'll see that the resources are different. So the requirement of 300, we get that from the size 20 times the multiplier 15, which equals 300. Whereas we can see that at base there's only 4 and 269 resources at base. Light industry doesn't use any fuel, so it's in 0. Oil and HI is the same. Let's come back to all of the industry again, and I'll talk you through what all of these things mean. So on the left-hand side we have the bases, and only the bases with actual industry are shown on this screen. You'll notice that the type, all of the types are listed. The ones in yellow are the ones that can be increased. Obviously manpower, resources and oil cannot be increased, whereas refineries, light industry and heavy industry, plus engines, air and R&D, naval shipyards, merchant shipyards, repairs, armaments, vehicles can all be increased. We do that just by clicking on the actual yellow button, and on the right hand side here we have the option to expand. I'll come back to that in a minute and talk through a little bit further. Our upgrade here, well, this is basically only for air and R&D air. So if I click off these two, you'll notice that there's upgrade yes or no. So if I look at the A6N20, its next factory upgrade will be the Zen Baku, excuse my pronunciation, and when it becomes available in 44, this factory at the moment will upgrade automatically to that model. It might take a little time, usually between 1 day and maybe even up to a month to upgrade, but it does it automatically. You can manually go and do it yourself anyway these days with AE. You couldn't with the original. Repair, yes, we're saying it will repair, so at the moment you can see that I've got 102 factories that are waiting to be repaired. If I clicked no, then it wouldn't try to repair. Click it back to yes. At present, although the requirement of 1,000 supply points per repair point, and you also have to have a minimum of 10k on base, means that for this next turn at least, I won't get any repairs done on this because I only have 2,155 supply points there. If I go to Gifu, I could actually increase the supply requirement here, but as I've been mucking around with this anyway, I know that the requirement will be enough next turn for that to increase. Let me go back to the Industrial Management Screen. So just by clicking on each of the bases, it's a good way to see and to change the requirement, and then clicking back will take you back to the Industrial Management Screen. Something that didn't happen earlier on in AE. Let's go back to all of the industry again. Production, whether you are producing or not. You can notice that light industry doesn't have this option of turning it off. After one of the beta patches, that option was removed, whereas refineries and heavy industry can, as well as, just click on the ones that can. So all of these will have production, yes or no. As you can see at the moment, I've turned off some of my armament production there. This next one says the size. So the first numbers outside parentheses are the size. Inside will be the increase that's made. So, and then also what actually it will be producing. So in this case here, the refinery at Akita, the size 40, it will produce times 9, 40 is 360 fuel, 40 times 1, it will produce 40 supply. Over here is the requirements. The requirements are 4,000 oil. Sorry, 400. I can't even. 400 oil, no HI. At base at the moment, you can see that there's enough oil to match this requirement. Okay, let's look at air production in more detail, because this is the interesting part. In the previous video that I was mucking around with, I changed this here. So I'm going to go to the B5N2 Kate, and on the right hand side here, because I'm using or playing with realistic R&D, you'll notice that I only have a list of planes that are available to be built right now. So by clicking on one of these, I could change this factory potentially to any of these factories here, and the size of this factory would be reduced, and there would be no there would be no production of that straight away. We would have to repair that again. Anyway, anyway, I'll show you a little bit later about realistic and unrealistic R&D, and show you the options or the abilities of what you can do. Okay, let's have a look at R&D for air. So if I click on one of these here, you'll notice that once again the list is just planes that are not available at the moment. So I can click on one of these and it will reduce the size a little bit, and so if I click on that one here, you can see that I've gone to the A6N50. It's reduced the size by around about a third. I did used to know the numbers, but I can't remember now exactly the percentage. But it reduces it in size, and once again, because we don't have enough supply here, I'd have to change the requirement at Fukuoka, bring it up to about 4, so that next turn there would be enough supply flowing here to give us that 10K at base. Alright, so that's air with realistic R&D. If I just quickly come over here and change it to off, come back, and I'll come back to the industrial management screen, and you notice that if I click on the aircraft this time, it gives us a full listing of all of the aircraft. This is because with realistic R&D, you have a restriction on the factory, whether it can change over to be a normal build factory or not. So let's have a look at the KI-43 Oscar. Now I could change it to any of these aircraft if I wanted to. It's being produced at the moment because it's yellow. You can see that it's a 30-0. If I go to the next one in its upgrade path, which would be the 2A, which is available in the 11th 42, and click on that, you'll notice that the size stays the same. So it's actually upgraded straight away into an R&D path, which means that we will start accumulating points straight away because uh, once the factory is fully expanded and there's no damage to it, it will start accumulating points. So this factory here will accumulate around about 30 points per month. Once again, if I click on it again, and I could go one more up the path, I think, if I remember and I think that it goes to the 2B. So I'll click on that one, and once again, we've moved up the path again. So now I'm actually R&Ding a plane that is in May 43. And once again, that will give me 30 points. So the difference between realistic and unrealistic gives you this added advantage. Not that you need one with R&D and AE. Anyway, let's have a look at expansions, and I might just use air again for this. So at Maebayashi, I've got the A6M2. Probably not enough supply there, so let me pick a base that actually does have a lot of supply. Let's have a look at the Sonya in Tokyo. Okay, so I have plenty of supply. Okay, I have plenty of HI, and I have plenty of manpower as well. HI and manpower is global when it comes to expansion, and if I increase by 1, it tells me how much it costs each time. So it costs 100 supply, 10 HI, and 10 manpower. So if I click on maximum here, it's going to be 30. Because the size of our factory is 30, it will only increase to that maximum size of 30. The advantage of the industry management screen, obviously, is that we can do this in increments, whereas if I go straight to the base, Tokyo, and go to that factory again, which is the Sonya, if I click expansion here, it will expand by 30, okay, which is 3,000 supply, 300 HI, and 300 manpower. Let me go back to the industrial management screen again, and we'll look at a slightly larger size factory. Do I have one? I don't. Maybe I'll go to armament instead. I want to find a large size factory. Here we go. So this one here is 140. So if I click on this and click the maximum, it's only 100 instead of 140. This is because I think Michael has limited it to 100 each time. Because obviously if you went to HI and you hadn't saved your game, which you should do every single time that you want to do something like this, we've got a size 2,730. If I click on the heavy industry and click here, I would have expanded by 2,730, or the same if I'd went to the base screen and under our heavy industry here wanted to expand. In previous versions, this would expand by 2,730, which would be absolutely ridiculous. Okay, let's once again go back to the management screen here. What else do I need to show you here? Done that. Okay, let's go to the bottom here. So I'll get rid of all of that up here. So these are our global numbers here. Okay, so the totals down the side, in pool, maximum production, disabled production, shut off production. Okay, so and the requirements that are needed. This is more of a global sense rather than the local sense that's up at the top here. So you can see that in our pools we're all doing pretty well across the board. Maximum production is just these numbers here. HI required, this is probably the only one that I would look at, although I use Tracker obviously, and the supply produced by each and the fuel produced. Down the bottom here we have turn on repairs, off repairs, turn on production, turn off production. So this once again is local to whatever we're doing here. So if we filter just the armament and I turn off all repairs, you can see it's turned off those. But if I look at vehicles, they're still on. The same with turn off production. So all of them are off. Turn on production, all of them come back on. So we can filter and use these buttons down here. I think that pretty much covers it. I probably should have talked a little bit more about these globals down here, but it's not really that difficult to understand the spreadsheet if you understand the economic side of the game. Okay, thank you very much.